How do New World wines differ from Old World wines? Wine goes back thousands and thousands of years. And when you look at the New World and the Old World in terms of how people talk about it these days, we only have a very short period of time since the New World started production, which is around about 250 years in South Africa, 200 years in Australia, and 180, 190 years in New Zealand. So it's not really that long ago. However, there is a big difference. Of course, all of the vines that are planted in South Africa and Australia and New Zealand and South Africa and parts of America came from Europe. So when you talk about Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay and Shiraz and Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon, etc., to cut a long story short, it was all grafted from vines in Europe. Now, the big difference really between the way that wines are made is the climate, it's the terroir. And everything that you taste from a wine bottle has to do with what is around the vine, what is happening with the climate, what is the temperature, the rainfall, etc. And so you can have a Sauvignon Blanc from Bordeaux and a Sauvignon Blanc from Sancerre, and they can taste completely different. And so you can have a Sauvignon Blanc from Sancerre and a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, and they taste completely different. But why is that? The main reason is the climate, the difference in sunlight hours. So what I've got here is I've got two Sauvignon Blancs. When you look at two Sauvignon Blancs from two different regions, you can see from the way that the wines respond to your palate on the climate difference. So I have a Sauvignon Blanc here from Bordeaux. It's a Bordeaux style. It's light and fresh, very clear in the glass. And I have a Sauvignon Blanc here from New Zealand. And it's the same. It's very clear and light in the glass. The difference is the New Zealand wine is a little bit lighter. Perhaps the Bordeaux has had a very tiny bit of Semillon because they blended a little bit in Bordeaux. But basically, you've got New World and Old World. And what happens is the New World has a much longer ripening period for its vines than the Old World. So in Bordeaux, which is a region battered all of the time from these Atlantic winds and storms, and it's a very, very difficult region to produce good grapes in. They have sort of a style of climate which is great to make wine, but it's not as great as the New World. As one of the reasons is actually that as the Earth revolves on a daily basis, we orbit the sun, but we revolve around our axis. But in fact, the Earth is tipped at a 5-degree angle so that the southern hemisphere receives 20% more sunlight than the northern hemisphere. So all of those wine regions in the southern hemisphere, they receive longer ripening hours, they receive more sunshine, the fruit is ripening better, and everything just becomes more open and more fruity and easy to produce. That doesn't say or mean that it's an easier business to grow vines in that part of the world. It's just they have more fruit character and they have the ability to develop better. Whereas in some parts of Europe, they may have issues with cool climate, with storms, with hail. I mean, France goes through a lot of the whole of Europe goes through pretty bad parts of the year where the vines have to resist these climatic conditions. So that's the big difference really. All of the vines came from the Old World to the New World. The Old World might have drier styles of less fruity, more restrained, but more terroir and acidic driven wines. The New World is more open, aromatic, a little bit easier to drink when you're talking about these basic styles of wines. I hope that I've shone a little bit of light onto that part of the industry, and I think they're both great and they both have great value in the business. Thank you.